The rain poured relentlessly, a steady drumbeat against the cobblestone streets of Salvador, Brazil. The night was thick with mist, shrouding the colonial buildings in an eerie veil. Within the shadows, secrets long buried began to stir, whispering tales of vengeance and forgotten justice. Carlos, a young lawyer fresh out of university, had returned to his hometown to visit his childhood friends, Marcia and Diego. They gathered at a local bar, reminiscing about the past, unaware of the sinister events that would soon unfold. "Have you heard the legend of Justica Sombria?" asked an old man sitting at the bar, his voice a gravelly whisper that cut through their laughter. Carlos raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Justica Sombria? What's that?" The old man leaned closer, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and excitement. "It's an ancient curse, my boy. Long ago, a judge in this very city sentenced an innocent woman to death. Her spirit swore vengeance, and now she roams the night, seeking justice for those wronged by the law. They say her shadow brings death to the guilty and curses to the innocent who cross her path." Marcia shivered, pulling her shawl tighter around her shoulders. "That's just a story, right?" The old man shrugged. "Believe what you will. But if you value your lives, don't go looking for her." Carlos and his friends exchanged uneasy glances, but curiosity gnawed at them. The thrill of the unknown was too enticing to resist. That night, fueled by a mix of alcohol and youthful bravado, they decided to uncover the truth behind the legend. They ventured to the old courthouse, a dilapidated structure that stood as a silent witness to centuries of judgments and executions. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding as they pushed open the heavy wooden doors and stepped inside. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, casting long shadows that danced on the crumbling walls. Diego, always the skeptic, laughed nervously. "See? Nothing but dust and cobwebs. Let's get out of here." But Carlos, driven by a strange compulsion, moved deeper into the building. He stopped in front of an old, ornate mirror, its surface tarnished with age. As he gazed into it, a chill ran down his spine. Reflected in the glass, just behind him, was the faint outline of a woman dressed in tattered, old-fashioned clothes. "Guys, do you see that?" Carlos's voice trembled. Marcia and Diego turned, their faces paling as they too saw the ghostly figure. The temperature in the room plummeted, their breath visible in the cold air. The woman's eyes, hollow and filled with sorrow, locked onto theirs. "Leave this place," she whispered, her voice echoing through the empty halls. "Justice must be served." Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook, and the walls seemed to close in. The friends stumbled back, their fear mounting as the spirit advanced. They turned and fled, the sound of her anguished cries following them into the night. Back at Marcia's apartment, they tried to make sense of what they had witnessed. "This can't be real," Diego muttered, rubbing his temples. "Ghosts don't exist." But the evidence was undeniable. The curse of Justica Sombria was real, and it had awakened with a vengeance. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Carlos's legal documents went missing, only to reappear with ominous messages scrawled in blood-red ink. Marcia's dreams were plagued by visions of the ghostly woman, her outstretched hand dripping with spectral blood. Desperate for answers, They sought out an old historian who specialized in local legends. Dona Rosa, a frail woman with piercing blue eyes, listened intently to their tale. "You have invoked the spirit of Dona Beatriz," she explained. "She was wrongly accused of witchcraft and executed by the very court you visited. Her spirit cannot rest until justice is served." Carlos frowned. "But we're not guilty of anything." Dona Rosa shook her head. "It's not about your guilt. It's about the injustices of the past, and her need to balance the scales. To break the curse, you must find a way to bring her peace." With newfound determination, the friends delved into the archives, uncovering the truth about Dona Beatriz's trial. They found evidence of corruption and false testimony, revealing that she had been a healer, not a witch. Armed with this knowledge, they decided to hold a public ceremony to clear her name. The night of the ceremony, the air was electric with anticipation. They gathered in the town square, where a makeshift altar had been erected. Carlos stood before the crowd, his voice steady as he recounted the true story of Dona Beatriz. As he spoke, the wind picked up, swirling around them like a spectral dance. The spirit of Dona Beatriz appeared, her presence a chilling reminder of the curse. But this time, there was a softness in her eyes, a glimmer of hope. "We acknowledge the wrongs done to you," Carlos declared. "And we seek to make amends. May your spirit find peace, and may justice be restored." For a moment, silence reigned. Then, a blinding light enveloped the square, and the spirit of Dona Beatriz dissolved into the night, her mournful wail fading into the wind. The curse was lifted, and the friends breathed a collective sigh of relief. But the experience had changed them. They realized that justice was not just about the law, but about truth and compassion. And as they walked away from the square, they knew that the shadows of the past would always linger, a reminder of the price of justice. Carlos, Marcia, and Diego had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, their bond unbroken. But the legend of Justica Sombria lived on, a cautionary tale of the power of the past and the enduring quest for justice in the face of unimaginable horror.